Hunger is a signal that the trillions of cells in our bodies work together cooperatively to generate and relay to our conscious minds that we're missing something in our bodies, whether that's protein, energy, or vitamins and minerals. In today's episode, I am going to teach you what hunger is, why we're hungry, how hunger is like a multi-purpose tool, like a Swiss Army knife, and how to use that tool effectively. Rolling! What's up, family? It's your boy Danny, alive and in the flesh, back once again reminding you that you are beautiful, capable, and strong, which means that you are good enough for whatever life cooks up and sends your way. And you're going to stay that way because you are going to eat meat, move weight, and win the Hunger Games. Yeah, that's right. If this is your first time here and you want to learn how to think about and how to control both your body and your mind in the most effective way possible, that is, if you want to Pareto optimize your whole friggin' life, well, hang on to your dang socks and smash that subscribe button. An English Benedictine who worked at Boston College once said, "Desire is not a emptiness longing to be filled. Desire is a fullness longing to be in a relationship. Desire is love waiting to be born." Well, that ain't hunger. Hunger is an emptiness longing to be filled. Hunger is not an end in and of itself. It is not a path or route to transcendence or enlightenment. Hunger is just a tool. Money, like hunger, is also just a tool. It's just a tool for facilitating exchange. This makes money kind of inherently worthless in and of itself. It's just a way to account for things that are actually worth something, that is, goods and services. Another function that some people want money to perform, especially in light of the breakdown in intergenerational care and intergenerational households, is to be a store of value. That is, people want money, or at least some people want money to be both an inherently worthless token that serves to facilitate exchange on the one hand, and an inherently valuable commodity that serves as a store of value on the other hand. A commodity that preferably appreciates in value over time. And people want money to do both of these things, which are kind of contradictory, simultaneously. It is in this way that money becomes a kind of Swiss Army knife that's a tool for more than one job. Have you ever heard the expression, however, the right tool for the right job? Well, a Swiss Army knife is a way to do a lot of different things or different jobs ineffectively or suboptimally. It is the wrong tool for a lot of different jobs. Note very well, I said some of the problems, not all. Some of the problems some of the jobs that hunger is trying to do or perform are as follows. Hunger is trying to solve the energy problem, which in popular culture boils down to the fat versus carbohydrate problem. This is the problem of how to obtain all the energy that your body needs so that the cells can do the work they need to do. Hunger is also trying to solve the structural problem, which really reduces to the protein problem, and on a smaller scale and to a lesser degree, the fatty acid problem. This is the problem of how to obtain enough building blocks for your body so that it can grow, repair, and do all the other things it needs to do structurally. Thirdly, there's the nutrient problem, which reduces to the vitamins and minerals problem. This is the problem of how to obtain enough vitamins and minerals from our diets. Making all this even more complicated is the fact that all three of these complex systems interact with each other in complex ways. For example, carbs, in addition to being a source of energy, are also used to construct DNA. Fatty acids, in addition to being a source of energy, also provide your cell membranes with structure and permeability. Protein, in addition to being a structural component in your body, can also be converted into glucose and burned for energy. Creatine and some amino acids, the ones that are used to synthesize creatine, are also very essential or critically important in the phosphagen energy system that's inside of our cells. Vitamins are necessary for energy production, especially B12. And minerals play an important role in bone growth, which I would consider a pretty important structural issue. Can you see now how, despite the fact that hunger tends to manifest itself to us as a singular phenomenon to our conscious minds, at least at the biochemical level, hunger is more than one thing. In fact, it's many things. And because hunger is more than one thing, this means that food is actually technically more than one thing. I do have a video where I define food explicitly, and I do reduce it down to one thing, and that is true when we're talking about the way we interact at the dietary level. But for today's video, the purposes of today's video, we're talking about what food does at the biochemical level. I will link to that video at the end of this video as well, and if you want to click on the upper right corner when you get to the end of the video on the definition of food video, it'll serve as a nice complement to this video. Because food, which is more than one thing, feeds different energy systems, right, in different ways, that means that energy is also more than one thing on this understanding of biochemistry. And none of these things, hunger, food, or energy, are perfectly homogeneous categories that correspond perfectly to one singular thing or one definition. This means that hunger really is the body's Swiss Army knife. In a normal, proper food environment, it's a Swiss Army knife that works. Yes! However, in our modern food environment, well... Hey, take this cup. So, why are we hungry? This probably necessitates its own entire series of videos, but we're gonna break it down real fast for y'all today. We aren't hungry at all. The self is an illusion.
Only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
No spoon means you can't eat ice cream. Throw away all your spoons and you won't get fat. Technically, we aren't hungry at all, right? Our cells are hungry and they're telling us, that, hey, we're hungry. Each particular individual cell.
Is this particular individual the unfit mother?
Each particular cell.
This particular individual is unscannable.
Out of the trillions of cells that we have, must all continually, incessantly, even while we're sleeping, must convert fuel or food into energy or ATP so that it can do the work it needs to do to keep itself alive and maintain homeostasis. All 50 trillion of our cells have to do this simultaneously, and they have to do it well, or we die. And they have to do this well despite wild swings in energy supply, energy demand, external temperature, and internal bodily states. Most of the subsystems in our body, if not being dedicated to, are at least directly involved in this process of nutrient partitioning and energy supply. Our respiratory systems, our digestive systems, our circulatory and lymphatic systems, and substantial parts of our endocrine system and nervous systems are all dedicated to this nutrient partitioning and energy supply process. And lest we forget, each of the cells that make up these subsystems also have their own energy and nutrient requirements. This thing, though, hunger, that our cells tell us to experience and that we do experience as a nearly singular phenomenon, or as a nearly singular drive, can be misdirected and perverted by advertising, frankenfoods, supernormal stimuli, and other stuff. Snack food achieves this trickery by being hyper-available, being covered in bright colors, artificial flavorings, and other ingredients that make it seem like you're solving all three of the hunger problems when you're really only solving one of them, and that's the energy problem. How likely is it, however, that solving only one of the problems that hunger needs you to solve is going to satisfy the needs of your body? An analogy. If your family needs you to quit staying up late, to quit drinking so much and get a job so that you can provide for them, how happy are they going to be with you if you just quit drinking and start sleeping all the time?
Are you employed?
Sure, you can obtain some energy by eating snack food, but you're not going to achieve actual satiety.
The bomb's lost!
That is a lengthy reprieve from feelings of hunger. Similarly, you will stop having hangovers if you stop getting trashed every night and staying up late, but you're not going to have any money in your bank account unless you get a job.
Get a job, sir!
This is why snacking just perpetuates the vicious cycle of snacking. In the exact same way, being a layabout with no job tends to perpetuate the vicious cycle of alcoholism. Studies have shown... Oh my God, I hate when I do that. Or I hate when people do that. Whatever. Studies have shown that people cannot pick food that actually solves all three of the problems that hunger is trying to solve. When these people are placed in a cafeteria setting with freely available food where, hypothetically, they could construct a meal or a diet that would solve all three of those problems, they show themselves incapable of doing so. In real life, that cafeteria is the grocery store, and the obesity epidemic that we're currently experiencing is the end result. The grocery store is where you keep going, trying to solve all three problems that your hunger is signaling to you that you need to solve, only to find that you're not capable of doing so. You only seem to be capable of solving the energy problem. Although your heinously complex biochemical machinery is starving for energy, and although you do need to solve the energy problem, your hunger is not exclusively an energy issue. In fact, you have to stop thinking about it this way. The average person has 100,000 calories of fat and about 2,400 calories of glucose stored on their body or stored on their person. Even a reasonably lean human being. That's enough glucose for an entire day and then some if you aren't exercising strenuously, and enough fat for a couple of months. While it is true that lack of energy can kill you, in fact, lack of energy is how cyanide poisoning kills people. Cyanide poisoning produces a very serious, very fatal energy crisis in your body. But think about what I've said so far, and based upon the amount of energy you now know that your body has stored, do you think that you're gonna die like you would from an energy shortage caused by cyanide poisoning if you miss your next few meals? I can assure you that you're not, and that you don't need to snack to keep your energy up. Snacking is for growing children. Are you an adult or a growing child?
It's like I'm traveling with a child.
Oh, you're an adult.
Of course I'm an adult. I'm 23 years old.
You are the most shot out 23-year-old I've ever seen.
Nevertheless, this does suggest a question, and that is, why am I constantly hungry? Well, we aren't constantly hungry because our body is just so desperate to solve 1 out of 3 problems. It isn't just dealing with the energy problem. Life also requires protein. Protein calorie malnutrition is a real thing, and kwashiorkor is a very real disease which causes very real deaths. Which means you can die in the presence of adequate caloric intake if there is not adequate protein intake to go along with it. Mary Eads says it only takes about 70 days and no protein to die. Basically what this means is that the 300 grams of protein that you're turning over and recycling every day, well, within 70 days, enough of it becomes unusable due to this recycle process that you die. This is why they make such a big deal out of protein on Naked and Afraid. Based on what you now know about hunger and the way the body stores energy, can you see how the structural problem is as important, if not more important, than the energy problem? You'll die without having your protein needs met just as fast as you'll die without having your energy needs met. And although we don't have to be concerned with kwashiorkor in America, typically, what we do need to be concerned with is the possibility of overeating energy in our quest to attain adequate amounts of protein. If we think of hunger as a structural issue first and foremost, we are far less likely to overconsume energy when we eat or when we listen to our hunger signal. How do we do that? The easiest way to do that is to focus our diets on the most complete, absorbable, bioavailable proteins we can. Those are meat proteins. Studies have shown weightlifters in negative nitrogen balance even when they're eating 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. We aren't going to dive into all the gory biochemical details, but suffice it to say that what that means is that even though they were eating an absurdly large amount of protein or high amount of protein compared to most people, they were still not getting enough. And because we move weight here twice a week at In the Flesh, me and all my homies, we too are gonna need lots of protein, which means that we're gonna need more meat. We're gonna need more meat. It's a vicious cycle, but it's a much better vicious cycle to be stuck in than the cycle of snack food addiction. This means if it ain't meat, it ain't a meal. It's a snack. And we don't snack because why? That's right, because we're adults. And lastly, as if the first 2 things weren't complicated enough, we need vitamins and minerals as well. It's probably controversial to assert this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. If there were a way to strip all of the micronutrients out of your food and for me to just feed you the macros that you needed, you would probably still be hungry. Suffice it to say that some studies have shown that vitamin supplemented diets can decrease fat mass. Vitamin supplemented diets can reduce the subjective feelings of hunger compared to control diets that were isocaloric and not supplemented. Calcium and D supplementation has been shown to lower fat mass in studies where subjects were deficient beforehand, compared to subjects who were not deficient beforehand. Say it with me. Micronutrient deficiency can drive hunger. This is why I said earlier that we experience hunger as a nearly singular drive or singular phenomenon. We do sometimes have very specific cravings, even more so in the case of pregnant women, cravings and revulsions. And I suspect that this is a micronutrient-driven phenomenon, especially in the case of pregnant women and iron and their disgust for meat. Solving the micronutrient problem is the one place that I can envision for vegetables in the diet. Real vegetables, green ones, not beans, grains, and nuts, which are filled with anti-nutrients and don't really find a place in my diet. The problem with real vegetables is that there's no calories in them, there's no fat in them, there's no protein in them. I mean, they're just devoid of everything except micronutrients. That means you can only solve one of the hunger problems with real vegetables, the micro problem. This is why we don't start with or make the foundation of our diet vegetables. It's why we start with meat. If it ain't meat, it ain't a meal. And if it's a real vegetable, a green one, it don't have any energy in it, so it's not a snack. Besides, what are we again? That's right, adults. Do adults snack? No, they don't. I want to start wrapping this up by offering you the following analogy. Hunger is kind of like the warning lights or gauges on your car's dashboard or instrument cluster if that car only had a singular warning light. Running out of gas? Check engine light. Anti-lock brake problem? Check engine light. Car's overheating? Check engine light. That is hunger. It's your body's singular warning light for any problem or combination of problems that your cells might be having at any given time in any one of the three systems or problems that we've been talking about. We're going to continue the analogy or push it a little further to drive home the point about the energy problem. Imagine that our car, in addition to its singular warning light, only had one hole into which we dumped all the fluids that the car might need. That's right, one hole for gas, oil, washer fluid, brake fluid, power steering fluid, transmission fluid, coolant, all of it, one hole, everything. All of it goes in that one hole, and then the car just magically sorts it all out, distributes it as needed, filters it, processes it, delivers it. Now, all these fluids, like all foods that we consume, have some sort of energy value or heat value. So it's really easy to come up with a caloric value for each of these fluids. Each fluid has a specific amount of calories per liter, but a car doesn't burn anything except gas, the bang water, the go juice for energy. Doesn't work the other way either. So if you're short on brake fluid, your car won't stop no matter how much gas you pour in the brake fluid reservoir. Or if you're short on coolant, your car's not gonna cool down or not overheat. It'll probably even blow up if you pour gas into the radiator or the coolant reservoir. Can you see that in either of these situations, the problem is not that your car is out of fluid balance. In our analogical car and real cars, these fluids are not substitutes for one another. Therefore, the concept of fluid balance, right, or being out of balance would be meaningless. In real life, IRL, in our bodies, none of the foods that we eat to solve specific problems and out of the three problems that we talked about are actual substitutes for each other either. Therefore, the concept of energy balance is just as meaningless for our bodies. Besides, nobody is ever out of energy balance. That would be a violation of the laws of physics. Not even dead people, not even corpses. We're all in energy balance. So what this all means is that you can't blame hunger for you being the way that you are. Just because your check engine light is on, the hunger signal is being delivered to your conscious mind, doesn't mean that the check engine light or your hunger signal is broken. Doesn't mean your reward system is broken. Hunger, in fact, told you, quit drinking, stop staying up so late, and get a job. But what did you do? You just quit drinking and started laying around all day. So don't blame hunger because you got fat. Because hunger is doing its jobs, plural. You're the fucking layabout not doing your jobs, plural. How do we do our jobs, plural? How do we eat? Here's your set of rules.
There's no set of rules.
No, this is a set of rules.
I'm not telling you what to do.
No, I am telling you what to do.
All I'm saying is I'm bringing up three things that are like so important to the whole world.
The world is right.
I don't have to find much importance in.
No, they are important. We need to solve all three problems that hunger is trying to solve. 3 to 5 times a day, separated by 3 to 5 hours. That will give your body enough time to do muscle protein synthesis. What this means is that at each meal, you need to eat 30 grams at least of complete protein, and there needs to be 3 grams of leucine in there, which there will be if you eat meat. That's enough to trigger muscle protein synthesis. That's the point of a meal. That's what a meal is. We're triggering muscle protein synthesis. Moving on, to solve the structural problem, what do? We eat meat. To solve the energy problem, what do? We eat fatty meat. And we adjust carbohydrate intake, which is white rice and potatoes, as needed depending on our activity levels and the intensity of that activity. To solve the nutrient problem, finally, we eat eggs with our meat. Also, we supplement with some fish oil, some vitamins, some fruit, and if you really feel like it, you can have some spinach. I know you want spinach. Make sure you put some butter on that spinach. Hard and fast rules. No sugar at all. No snacking at all. If it's got a box, it's probably got sugar in it, okay? No sugar, no snacking. And last rule, bagels are not breakfast. Eggs, cottage cheese, bacon, and a protein shake, that's breakfast. And if you want to have one piece of toast, fine, one piece of toast. All right, thanks for sticking with me today, family. I know that it has been a super long one, but it was a super important one, and I wanted to make sure that my reasoning was clear to everybody so that you could maybe look for flaws in it and let me know if you find any questions, comments, concerns. Do you just want to email me? Do you just need someone to talk to you? Do you need more diet advice? Let me know via email, DM, that's direct message for you old people, or in the comment section down below. I am here for you. I'm not doing this for my health, I'm doing it for your health. It's your boy Danny reminding you that you are beautiful, capable, and strong, and you're gonna stay that way because you are gonna eat meat, move weight, and Katniss Everdeen the shit out of your Hunger Games. Chuck-a-deuce! If this video isn't enough to help you understand how meat is food and everything else is just pretending, remember what I said earlier about the video in the upper right-hand corner? Click on that definition of food video and you'll see exactly what it is I'm talking about. It'll serve as a nice complement to this video.